Hello, we are going to talk about the Axis Offensive of 1941 and look at some key battles and some key events that shaped this year. Uh, Take notes, pay attention. All right, so we're really looking at Germany in 1941. We know that the Battle of Britain sort of was unsuccessful. Hitler sort of gave up in Britain and now focuses attention elsewhere. And so one of the places he's going to send in troops to North Africa. All right. And basically, this is to help out its faltering ally, Italy, who we know from the last lecture was forced back into to Libya. So Hitler's going to send Erwin Rommel and the Afrika Corps, who is just another name for the German expeditionary force that were sent to Tripoli, and they are going to, with the Italians, drive out the British out of Libya. All right, so Libya is going to become a part of the Axis control. All right, and by June 1942, the Germans were in Egypt and they were approaching El Alamein, which was only 70 miles from Alexandria. Now, that was just on the Egyptian frontier. Now, we look at Greece. All right, in April 1949, Hitler's forces invaded Greece. All right, the Germans did capture Athens, the capital, and they forced the British to withdraw. And after bombing Crete, they launched a parachute invasion of this island. All right, once again, the British were forced to evacuate in May 1941. So we're seeing a series of events in different theaters of the war where the British or the Allies are forced to retreat. All right. Now, one of the effects of these campaigns in North Africa and Greece, it sort of it was a blow to the Allied morale. All right, with these few invasions, over 36,000 men died. All right, um, and one of the things that we noticed is the fact that many of the troops that were removed from North Africa, all right, and of course this is sort of going to weaken the forces there, and they just needed to be where they needed to be, excuse me, to fight against Rommel. So that's sort of why forces were uh, they were forced to retreat in North Africa. Now, um, so could be some fatal military mistakes that we see. All right. So basically, Hitler's involvement in Greece, and he also invaded Yugoslavia, and he launched that attack the same day, the same time as the Germans invaded Greece. All right, and many look forward in history because when he invaded Greece and Yugoslavia, that this um, delayed his attack on Russia. All right, which was one of those pivotal points. All right, now the attack, of course, was for on Russia was planned for 15 May and was delayed for 5 weeks. And many historians look back and look at it from the perspective that if this invasion had taken place in May, the Germans might have captured Moscow before the winter set in. But one of the reasons that Germany was unsuccessful in an attack against the Soviet Union was because of the harsh winters. All right. So here's one of the main, one key pivotal battles or theaters of the war, and this was the German invasion of Russia, or we call it Operation Barbarossa. All right, this attack began on 22 June 1941. And what were Hitler's motives? Basically, he feared that the Russians might attack Germany when she occupied Western Europe. So they felt that Hitler felt as if Germany would come in to attack him, and they hoped that the Japanese would attack Russia in the Far East. Therefore, if that did happen, forcing Russia to fight a two-front war, and Hitler thought that Japan would be more powerful, and the fact that Japan could be a threat on U.S. interests in Asia, thought that there was a less chance of the U.S. entering the war, which we know he was later wrong. And of course, Hitler did hate communism. All right, and Hitler desired Lebensraum. All right, when we talk about Lebensraum, we're talking about living space for his German people. All right, or people of Aryan descent. All right, now we're talking about Operation Barbarossa, and when we talk about this operation, it was three-pronged. In the north, this whole Blitzkrieg strategy towards Leningrad, the center towards Moscow, and the south through Ukraine. So you're attacking on three different fronts. All right, It was a blitzkrieg on an awesome scale, and this involved close to 5.5 million men. All right, 35 more than 3,500 tanks and 5,000 aircrafts, and of course 47,000 pieces of artillery, as you see here. All right, so you had the important cities that first were captured: Riga, Smolensk, and Kiev. And the Russians, of course, were caught off guard despite British and American warning. So when Germany first set into Soviet Union, Stalin believed that Hitler could be trusted because he's thinking about, remember, the Nazi Soviet pact, this non-aggression pact. All right, so he's thinking that Hitler's still going to honor the terms of this pact, and was extremely suspicious of any information that came from Britain or the U.S. So he did not see that this as a threat. He didn't see Germany as a threat to attack them. All right, he was thinking about, oh, we signed this pact, and more importantly, that this is coming from the USA and Great Britain. So what are their aims or motives here? All right, and of course, Russians were still re-equipping their army and air force, and their generals were inexperienced because of the purge that Stalin um, did in his country and got rid of a lot of people, and that primarily they weren't ready for war. They weren't mobilized for war. All right, the German forces failed to capture Leningrad and Moscow, two key important places. All right, and the reasons why: they were severely hampered by the heavy rains of October, which of course turned the Russian roads into basically big mud baths, which was hard to send troops and weaponry. If the roads are in horrible conditions, it's really hard to supply the troops. And of course, the severe frosts of November and December, and we're talking about temperatures in minus 38 degrees in some places. And so that was one of the reasons that you know Germany couldn't advance, and it was hard because they weren't used to fighting in those conditions. And Hitler had planned for this to be a quick, easy capture of the Soviet Union. Made the comment along the lines that all we have to do is kick in the door, and this place will fall easily. And the Germans had inadequate winter clothing because Hitler planned for the campaigns to be over by autumn. So troops weren't supplied, cold, harsh temperatures, and they weren't ready for the terrain. All right. And so by spring of 1942, no progress was made in the north and center as Hitler decided to concentrate on a major drive towards the Caucasus to seize oil fields. So, I know this map is horrible, but if you can see, these are the three campaigns. This is the north campaign towards Leningrad, the center towards Moscow, and the south towards, it was eventually headed towards Stalingrad. All right, so we kind of see where Hitler was going. All right, and that's that.